Are you planning to give the UK MLA anytime soon? Well, you've come to the right video. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Shiban and I'm a doctor in the UK. And in today's video, I'm going to cover how to study for and how to prepare for the exam called the UK MLA, which has now replaced the PLAB, and it's the exam that every medical school graduate in the UK has to give before they become a doctor, as well as every foreign medical graduate aspiring to become a doctor in the UK has to give as well. The UK MLA consists of two parts, the AKT, which is a written component, and the CPSA, which is a practical component. I'm going to cover how to study for and how to prepare for both briefly in this video, covering the main points and main strategies that are going to help you secure a good score in this exam. If you want me to go into further depth with each one, then drop a comment down below letting me know, and those are some videos we can work on as well. But anyway, if you haven't checked my channel out before, go check it out right now, because I make videos about medical school, life as a doctor, lifestyle videos, and lots of travel vlogs as well. So check out my channel. If you find my videos interesting, then join me for my journey and a lot more videos just like this one. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into how to prepare for and how to smash the exam that is the UK MLA. So as I said previously, the UK MLA consists of two parts, the AKT or the Applied Knowledge Test, and the CPSA, which is the Clinical and Professional Skills Assessment. So let's start off by talking about the AKT. So the Applied Knowledge Test is a written exam, but it's basically a single best answer or multiple choice exam that consists of two papers, which are 100 questions and 100 marks each. The two papers, part 1 and 2, have a syllabus of their own. So part 1 consists of a few specialties such as cardiology, respiratory medicine, gastroenterology, things like endocrinology, so a lot of acute medical specialties. Part 2 consists of things like obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, palliative care, oncology, and they both sort of cover their specific areas. The AKT requires a large volume of revision. So basically it requires you to spend a lot of time engaging with the content and engaging with content in different forms, whether it's reading a textbook, whether it's answering questions, whether it's attending classes or tutorials on said content. Basically a large volume of revision. I find that the easiest way to spend a lot of time on a topic is to engage with it actively or to do active recall revision. I'm sure this is something you've heard a lot while studying in medical school or figuring out the best way to study. But I have to say it really truly does work. The one main reason for that is I'd say it keeps you engaged throughout and it keeps you actively thinking. So you're actively trying to answer questions. It sort of stimulates critical thinking, it stimulates retention. So it's a very good strategy. And the best way to use active recall in your revision for the AKT part of the UK MLA is to do question banks. I'd also say you want to divide your revision for the AKT into part A and part B. Now, if you just go about revision naturally without a strategy in mind and you just answer questions randomly, attempt flashcards randomly, you may cover a lot of what's in a particular paper and not of what's in the other paper. So you definitely don't want to end up in that situation because the questions are divided quite equally. So you want to make sure you cover a bit of everything. So that's why it's good to do specialty focused revision. So deciding that, okay, I want to spend this much time doing cardiology, I want to spend this much time doing neurology, and going about your revision like that. You can also divide it into sort of sections. So like I'm doing paper 1 revision today and I'm going to do paper 2 revision tomorrow, something like that. Doing specialty focused revision also allows you to identify your weak areas. For example, when I was doing this, I noticed that I wasn't so great at dermatology questions, and I was struggling a bit when it came to respiratory medicine and neurology as well. That allowed me to go and spend more time on these specialties and to therefore improve my score in those specialties. That held a significant weightage in the exam. For the AKT, I'd say start slowly and progress from there. So you definitely want to get started as soon as possible. I'd say ideally you want to spend 2-3 months of active revision for the AKT before your exam. So yeah, start slowly, whether it's doing a few questions a day, reading up a little bit every day or something like that, and work your way upwards from there, doing more and more each week. By the time you get to sort of your exam season or exam time, you definitely want to be doing 100 to 200 questions a day, attempting a practice test almost every day to make sure you're getting in as much information and as much breadth of information as possible. Because that's the thing with medicine, right? There's so much breadth and so many different topics and so many different potential questions that can be asked. A quick tip, the UK MLA does have a content map available on its website. So if you go onto the UK MLA website that I'll link down in the description below, you can look at the UK MLA content map. That will help you sort of structure your revision as well. Now, I'd also say start with sort of non-test mode practice. So if you go on any question bank, they'll have test mode and a non-test mode. So a non-test mode way of doing questions would be that I attempt the question, as soon as I answer it, it gives me the answer and it gives me feedback on whether I got it correct or I didn't get it correct. This really allows you to spend time on each question and learn the key points from each question as you're doing them, which is great. But it also sort of slows down the pace of your revision. So I'd say do this towards the start, and as you sort of progress closer to exam time, do more of the test mode revision. I'd say definitely leave the first month or two for just doing practice questions and not attempting tests. Tests are something you want to attempt in the weeks before your exam to ensure that the test content and the habits that you have in attempting the test are sort of fresh in your mind and you're not sort of rusty with actual exam conditions. The most important thing when it comes to doing practice questions or attempting question banks for the UK MLA is to review your questions and the answers at the end of your test or at the end of your session of attempting questions, even if you've gone through them one by one while attempting them. So re-review everything towards the end and always sort of read through what the answer is, why the answer is that particular thing. If you got a question right but you weren't sure whether it was right, it's still important to read why you got that question correct. So definitely go through all your answers and the questions you attempted at the end of each session. This will actually result in the most improvement in your test scores. So actually reviewing your questions and learning from what you got wrong. Very often I used to find myself sort of attempting a bunch of questions, seeing that, oh yeah, I got this wrong, I got this right, I got this wrong, but not actually delving deep into why I got them wrong or right. And that's why I wasn't seeing much improvement at that time. But obviously after I got to the point of reviewing questions, I saw a lot more improvement there. Lastly, resources that you want to use for the AKT. So I have three main resources that I believe you should use to practice for the AKT. Really, everyone has their own preference, but these are three key ones that really helped me in my revision. The first one was the standard past medicine. So past medicine did not fail me. It gives you a huge volume of questions pitched at sort of a medium difficulty level. I'd say there's some really tough questions in past medicine, but mostly there's sort of a standard level of difficulty, and it gives you a really realistic sort of experience for the exam. Second resource is past test. Now past test is also a great question bank. I find that past test was a bit harder than past medicine, and I'd say honestly a bit harder than the actual exam as well. But it did really prepare me for the worst, and it was a key tool during my revision period. Lastly, I'd say use this underrated website called Revise MLA. They actually reached out to me during my revision time asking me to sort of review their resource. I had a look at it and I actually ended up using it so much during exam time because their questions are actually quite concise. They're not as detailed as the other two resources and probably a little less detailed than the actual exam itself. But because the questions were so simple and short, it allowed me to cover a large number of questions in a short period of time. And it was a great sort of resource to revise key concepts, I'd say. I'd say the ideal balance is using all three together, doing a bit of each one every day or every couple of days, and they all have question banks and they all have a textbook as well with more structured information regarding all the conditions that you can be tested on for the UK MLA. So that's all for the AKT. Now moving on to the CPSA. Now the CPSA, or the Clinical and Professional Skills Assessment, is an OSCE style exam. So it's a practical exam and it involves 16 stations. My med school split it into 8 stations over 2 days. So 8 stations one day, 8 stations on another day. The most important message I have for the CPSA is in your practice or your revision for this CPSA needs to be 70% practical and 30% sort of theory. So only spend 20 to 30% of your time actually sitting up and reading things and trying to like learn things, making notes and stuff like that. Spend 70% of your time actually doing practice, speaking things out loud, practicing with a friend or peer in med school. This is what's going to really help you. So find a study buddy or a study partner and find more than one, I'd suggest, so that when one is busy, you can reach out to the other. Practice loads of stations, loads of scenarios, cover histories, examinations, A to E assessment, communication stations, a bit of everything. If you can also join a group who are conducting circuits, so actual exam style sort of circuits to practice stations for the CPSA, that's really beneficial as well, because it gives you a sense of what the exam will actually be like, where you have to reset every 8 to 10 minutes for your next station and you have to sort of go on to something new. It also allows you to cover a large breadth of topics or a large breadth of scenarios in a short period of time as you're doing them back to back. Always practice your stations timed, I'd say, right from the beginning, because time is very important in the CPSA because you're short on time. No matter what med school you go to, you have 8 to 10 minutes to sort of complete your station, and it honestly never feels like enough. It's very time constrained, so you need to be really slick with everything and you need to be able to do whatever you need to do in the given time. Also remember that the stations in the UK MLA will not be as straightforward as some of the stations you've encountered in med school. When you go to the station and you read the brief that's written outside the station before actually going in, sometimes it won't tell you exactly what to do. It may say something very generic like, oh, you have to see a patient, conduct an appropriate assessment or do an appropriate examination. It doesn't actually tell you what to do. So you need to prepare yourself to sort of think critically, go inside, assess the situation, see, is the patient acutely unwell? Do I need to do an AT examination? Are they stable? Do they have a problem with a particular system? So do I need to focus my examination? Do I need to take a history? So sort of think critically about what the station and the situation actually requires. And it's completely okay if your approach changes midway through the station based on the information you end up finding. The more you practice, the more confident you'll be with handling stations you're not comfortable with or you've not seen before as well. Hence, I tell you to practice more and more and to spend less time reading up on specific scenarios. My favorite resource for the CPSA of OSCEs is Geeky Medics. Geeky Medics has a plethora of stations spread across all different types. So histories, examinations, communication stations, X-ray interpretations, all of that. And they have excellent sort of guides to how to attempt the station, what's expected, and and mark schemes as well to make sure you cover everything when you attempt a particular station as well. Also, always check in with your university's OSCE guide if your university has one, or their sort of rules or guidebook for practical exams, because that will tell you a lot about how your university is going to conduct the exam, because each university has their separate style and separate requirements, and going over what they need or they expect will prepare you best for their exam. If you want more information on how to prepare for an OSCE or for the CPSA, check out my video on how to study for an OSCE as well. I'll link that down in the description below and up here as well. So those are my main tips and strategies to approach both the CPSA and the AKT to prepare yourself in the best way possible for the UK MLA. Whether you're a foreign medical graduate wanting to come to the UK to become a doctor, or you're a UK medical graduate preparing for your final exams, which would be the UK MLA. I hope you found this video helpful. If you don't know too much about the UK MLA and you want to know more about what the actual exam consists of, then do go check out my video on what the UK MLA actually is. But otherwise, I'd greatly appreciate if you could drop a like down below on this video and subscribe to join me for a lot more such videos. And with that, I will see you in the next one.